Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm taking a look at the New York Knicks and going over whether or not I think they could sign Kawhi Leonard in the upcoming NBA free agent market. But before we get into that topic, question for those of you viewing, especially the Knicks fans out there. What are your thoughts on Julius Randle? Do you like him still? Just the way he fell apart in the postseason, do you still want him to be a part of the Knicks' big future? Of course, they don't want to just release him or trade him for scraps. He still has potential, especially what he did in the regular season. But I just want to know your overall thoughts. Do you think Julius Randle can be, your number two guy on the Knicks? I guess is more the question. If you got a number one big star, whether it be Dame or Kawhi, can you rely on Julius Randle to be your number two? Comment down below, yes or no. Getting straight into it, New York Knicks, we know how big the Knicks fan base is, just how, they love their team more than themselves. It's crazy. Can they land Kawhi Leonard is a big question, and there's a couple reasons or a couple ways they really need to persuade Kawhi Leonard. And one of the reasons is they have to be able to convince him that he can win in New York more than he can win in LA. And that's going to be easier said than done because I like the Knicks. They got some good fundamental pieces. Julius Randle, RJ Barrett. I'm a big fan. Who doesn't like Derrick Rose? I mean, the Knicks have a decent squad. I mean, they made the playoffs this year. A little disappointing, of course, in the first round. But, I mean, at this rate, they might be losing to a finals team against the Hawks. No one expected them to be this good. But, again, it was a little not what they expected, but still there are some pieces to at least become a playoff team. And you add a superstar, an arguable top 5 player in the league like Kawhi Leonard. Who's to say this team can't compete for a title? I mean, Kawhi Leonard's joined one above average team before like the Raptors and gone all the way. But that was a completely different circumstance. Back then, I don't want to say back then like it was 30 years ago, but whenever it was 2-3 years ago, there was really only one huge super team that year, and that was the Golden State Warriors between Steph, KD, Clay, Draymond. And it took some injuries to beat them. This year, there's all kinds of super teams. You got the, Nets trio. You got the Bucks big three with Giannis, Middleton, and Drew Holiday. Whoever's going to come out of the West is going to be a baller team, whether it be the Suns big three again, whether it be the Lakers rebounding, whether it be, I don't want to say the Clippers, but possibly the Clippers. You got possibly the Warriors if they form a big three again. There's a lot of good teams this year, and there's going to be some super teams, and I don't think Kawhi would get lucky again like he did with the Raptors where they just play one super team. But who's to say the Knicks can't add Kawhi and then some, or add Kawhi and get a diamond in the rough draft pick? Who knows? They have some talent, like I said. I'm not trying to act like RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Derrick Rose. There's some other guys on there. You got Kevin Knox off the bench, but they got a solid squad. They just wouldn't be this super team. Maybe Kawhi could go Kawhi mode and do it all and carry the team. Who knows? But to me, is that really a better team than Paul George, Reggie Jackson, Serge Ibaka when healthy, Marcus Morris? I don't know. I mean, that's a question that the Knicks are really going to have to center themselves and be honest with themselves. Can we convince him we have a better chance at winning a finals with him than he does with LA? I don't know. That's going to be the Knicks' job to persuade him. So can they sign him? Yes, they got the money. Do they have the players? That's really debatable. But another thing that could, push Kawhi away is the New York Knicks fandom that I talked about. The Knicks are the spotlight of the NBA, one of the biggest crowds in the NBA, one of the biggest NBA fan bases in the NBA. And we know Kawhi Leonard, he could give two craps about the spotlight. He just does not care. He's not a personal guy. He doesn't want to be the star of the show. He likes to be the star of the show on the court and have his actions be the star of the show. He likes to just shut up and play. But he doesn't like to be that talkable person, that face of the team. That's just not his personality, and I don't know if he could get away with that in New York, and I don't know if he'd budge off that. He doesn't want to go to New York and have all these people pressing on him. He has one bad game or one amazing game. He doesn't want to talk about it. He just doesn't, whether he had the best game of his life or the worst game of his life, that's just not him to talk about it, be in the spotlight to discuss about it. And that might push him away because New York might not give him a choice and force him to be this personable character that he just is not. And I think that could push him away. If the Knicks could pull off signing Kawhi Leonard and trading for Damian Lillard, and Damian Lillard could be the star of the show and take all the spotlight, and Kawhi could just shut up and play. He could be just as good as Dame, but he doesn't have to be the spotlight guy that everyone just looks up to. Kawhi might be interested in that, but now I'm getting really speculative. What are the odds the Knicks land both Dame and Kawhi? I mean, anything's possible, but if we're being realistic, I just don't see that happening. So can the Knicks sign him? Of course. They got the money. They got a decent amount of players to tell them we can make a good playoff run. I mean, they made the first round this year. And if Julius Randle could get things together in the postseason, who's to say the Knicks, I'm not saying they'd beat the Hawks, but who's to say they don't make it a 6-7 game series, make it a little more interesting? Who knows? So is it possible? Of course, they have some talent. They have some things to work with. But in all realness, I just don't see it happening. Kawhi does not like the spotlight. I don't think they have a super team that they convince him he has a better chance of winning there than in LA. Of course, if they get another player like Kawhi was convinced to go to the Clippers because of a Paul George trade, then things can happen. Kawhi Leonard's a quiet dude. No one thought he was going to end up on the Clippers. A lot of people thought when we heard him going to LA, it was just a guaranteed Lakers. No one even considered the Clippers, yet he ended up there. So just because he doesn't say anything doesn't mean the Knicks aren't in the running, because the Knicks could be the least favorite, yet that is where Kawhi knew he was going all this time. He's a weird guy. We don't know where he's going. So there is that wild card chance and small chance that he just ends up to the Knicks. But just in all realness, unless they get another big ticket name to steal the spotlight, a lot of people don't want the spotlight stolen from Kawhi. He wants nothing to do with it. Unless they could get another guy to attract it all, I just don't see it happening. Again, I'd love to see it happen. I'd love to see more great teams in the NBA. I'm sure a lot of Knicks fans would love to have Kawhi Leonard, but unless they get another big name with them, I just don't see it being pulled off. If he went there, theoretically, I think they could be a deep team, or a good team that can make a deep run, maybe the semifinals, maybe even the Eastern Conference Finals, depending on the matchups. If they got away with getting a third or fourth seed or second seed, that all they really got to play is maybe the Hawks, who I think they could handle now if they had Kawhi. Maybe the Heat, if they're the same team. Maybe a Hornets, maybe a Pacers. Maybe if they play one of those lower seeds and they don't really have to face a Brooklyn or Milwaukee to the Eastern Conference Finals, then they can make a run like that. But making a serious finals run, adding just Kawhi to this roster, I don't think is enough. Of course, pending everyone being healthy. We'll just have to see, though. I'm excited to see free agency. I'm excited to see what Kawhi does. And I'm excited to see what the Knicks do. Even if they don't get Kawhi, what will they do this year in this offseason to make their team better? You guys tell me. And referring back to the question today, can Julius Randle be a reliable number 2? While I think he could be reliable, I like Julius Randle more as a 3. I'd like to have number 2 be maybe RJ Barrett if he develops into this next best thing like we hope. I just don't think Julius Randle is made for it. He could be a great 3, but number 2 is a bit of a stretch, at least in my opinion, just based off what I've seen in his postseason. Maybe if he plays like he does in the regular season, number 2 is perfect for him. But based on this postseason, I got to give him number 3 for now. You guys tell me, though. As always, and of course, I truly appreciate it. Thank you for watching. 2-1.